Alright, hey guys, Old New Gamer here. So, as some of you may know, my favourite game franchise of all time is the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater series. And today is a very special day in the franchise's history because today, the original game, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, or Tony Hawk's Skateboarding as it was called here, turns 20 years old. This game came out on August 31st, 1999, originally when it launched on the PS1 and later the N64 and Dreamcast. And today is August 31st, 2019. So exactly 20 years ago, the original game was released, which is hard to believe, you know, because this game is really important to the history of, you know, sports games. When this game came out, there was really like no other skateboarding game like it. I mean, there were games before like Skate or Die for the NES and stuff like that, but they were more like arcadey sort of. Skateboarding, or Pro Skater 1, was sort of the first skateboarding game that really felt like a true sort of kind of open world skateboarding game. I mean, it really wasn't open world, not until the later games, but this was of course, you know, the first big success by Neversoft. Neversoft was founded in 1994, and beforehand they made like a couple of games before Pro Skater 1 that a lot of people don't know about, such as Skeleton Warriors and Apocalypse. But when they made this game, it exploded, and you know, and due to the success of this game, they obviously made Tony Hawk a yearly franchise, and they did the Activision 02 spin-off. So they did like Mathman's Pro BMX, they did Sean Palmer's Pro Snowboarder, K-Slayer's Pro Surfer, and Wakeboarding Unleashed. So this is obviously the PlayStation version, the PS1 version. Now, the reason why it's called Tony Hawk Skateboarding in Europe was because apparently they thought calling it Pro Skater, people were going to get confused with ice skating, even though you clearly see Tony Hawk on a skateboard on the cover, which they then realised that no one would, you know, could possibly assume it's an ice skating game, because for the sequels they did call it Pro Skater in Europe. So, you know, it is complete. There's the manual, there's the disc right there. So yeah, it was released first on the PS1, and then eventually a year later in 2000, Treyarch made ports of the game for the N64 and the Dreamcast, and it was also a Game Boy Color version. And of course, after the success of the first game, they obviously made an entire series, and they made it yearly up until 2007. So then they made Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, which is my personal favourite game on the PS1. They added a lot more improvements, you know, better graphics. The soundtrack was fantastic in this game. You know, Pro Skater 2 was an amazing game, and then as the games got on, they got better and better. You know, Pro Skater 3 was the first one on the 6th generation of consoles, PS2, Xbox and GameCube. I mean, there was an Xbox version of Pro Skater 2, but this was the first one on all three 6th gen consoles. And Pro Skater 3, you know, this game is my favourite game of all time. This game is an absolute masterpiece. Like, the gameplay is just fucking fantastic, and this is the best version without a doubt on the PlayStation 2, which happens to be my favourite console. So, and they made so many improvements to Pro Skater 3, you know, really just made it, you know, they absolutely perfected the gameplay by the time they got to the third game. And you know, it was Pro Skater 4 as well, which also made some improvements. In my opinion, I prefer Pro Skater 3, but Pro Skater 4 was still a really good game. And then in Tony Hawk's Underground, they made a big change when they added a story mode, which was definitely unique. You can also be a face in the game and stuff. You can get off your board. You know, they added all these like extra things into Underground as well. And again, this is a really amazing game. And in Underground 2, they also added the story mode again. They introduced the classic mode as well. But this is kind of like when the series, they obviously went like way over the top with like the storyline and stuff. But it was still a really good game, nonetheless. Then came American Wasteland. This was the first game in the series on the 7th gen console. This is the Xbox 360 version. It was a launch title for Xbox 360. American Wasteland didn't do like that many things new. The story wasn't as insane as it was in Underground 2, but still get off your board. They did add BMXs in this game as well, which was a interesting feature, and it also advertises on the back how there's no load times, which is sort of true. You get like these tunnels that you can skate through while the game's loading the next area, to give the illusion that there's no load times, basically. But then with Tony Hawk's Project A, they completely revamped the engine, you know, brand new game engine for Project A to take full advantage of the Xbox 360 and PS3. You know, the graphics were a much big improvement over any game that came before. I mean, they still made last gen versions of Project A, which I do have, but Project A was mainly, you know, developed mainly for the 7th generation. This was around about the time when the Tony Hawk series started to lose its fame. I mean, it was starting to die off a bit with it releasing annually. And then in 2007, when Neversoft released Proving Ground, it was a huge commercial flop, and that was because, you know, like EA Skate, the first one, also came out the same year in 07. And, you know, EA Skate was a much more realistic game and stuff, and because of that, even though Proving Ground was still a really good game, you know, not many people would pay attention to it. And because of that, this was the final Tony Hawk game that was made by Neversoft, and arguably the last good Tony Hawk game they ever made, which is a shame. Of course, after this, you know, Neversoft worked on the Guitar Hero series. They also, you know, made a third-person shooter called Gun in 2005, which was an amazing game, by the way. But after Proving Ground, they focused on specifically Guitar Hero games, and then they did like the Extinction mode for Call of Duty Ghost, and then after that went well, Infinity Ward decided to merge Neversoft into one studio. So basically now, even though Neversoft was defunct in 2014, they kind of still exist. Neversoft is basically Infinity Ward, if that makes sense. I guess in a way, technically in a way, you could say that Infinite Warfare and even the new Modern Warfare coming out this year is technically a Neversoft game, technically, in a way. But after Proving Ground, the series was obviously, you know, in the hands of Robomodo, which was a fucking awful idea. They completely destroyed the series, you know, releasing crappy games like Tony Hawk Ride and Tony Hawk Shred. And then Pro Skater HD was average at best. It did get a mixed reception. And then, but once they released Pro Skater 5, you know, which was clearly rushed because Tony Hawk's deal with Activision that he signed up after, in like 2002, was expiring in 2015. So they had to quickly rush Pro Skater 5, and it was a complete disaster. It was a complete fucking disaster. You know, I think we all know just what ended up happening with that game. You know, Pro Skater 5 was just a complete and utter mess in every way. In fact, the game did so poorly that a year later, it actually bankrupted Robomodo. And since then, the series has been basically pretty much dead. Last year we did get a mobile game, Tony Hawk's like Jam Session or whatever, but no one's playing that. So as sad as it is, we probably will never see like a proper like Tony Hawk game ever again, unless someone else has the rights to it. So notice as well how I'm wearing this Activision shirt, and that's because, you know, the games are published by Activision. So I thought, even though I wish it was an Activision 02 shirt, still I thought it'd be fitting because the games are published by Activision. But yeah, but 20 years ago it all started with this game right here. You know, I don't think there's really much I need to say about, you know, the original Tony Hawk's Pro Skater or Tony Hawk Skateboarding. You know, it birthed the best franchise in sports gaming history, and in my opinion, the best franchise of all time. You know, going back to the first game, it definitely has shown its age. I mean, it did come out in 1999 afterwards. It's still like, you know, the series did get better. You know, with like Pro Skater 2, 3, Underground being my personal favourites, and, you know, Pro Skater 3 being my favourite game of all time. It's just an amazing franchise, you know, and the legacy will always live on. The series was huge back in the day, you know. So that's going to be it for this video. I just wanted to make, you know, this is a video that I needed to make. 20th anniversary of this legendary game right here. You know, I had to do a video on it. Let me guys know in the comments, like, what are your memories with the Tony Hawk series? Did you buy the first game when it first came out? You know, what was the first Tony Hawk game you played? You know, what your memories with the series and stuff? What's your favourite game in the series? You know, I'd just like to know. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed this video. It was a video that I wanted to do for a long time. I obviously had to wait until, you know, the right day to do it. But yeah, anyway guys, I'll see you in the next video. Please like, subscribe, and peace.